The RX 6600 XT is probably one of the best budget cards that came out from AMD. It was matched against the RTX 3060 12GB, and even though that card had more VRAM and the RX 6600 XT only had 8GB of VRAM, it was better in a lot of scenarios compared to the Nvidia card. However, in 2026, is it time to upgrade our RX 6600 XT? Now, we're gonna match it against the latest 60 series cards, the RTX 5060. Obviously, the 5060 will be faster compared to the RX 6600 XT. What we're looking in here is if we're going to gain at least 50% more FPS with this upgrade, and that would be acceptable. If it's double the performance, then definitely that's a good choice. However, if it's only like 20% or less than 20%, then it's probably not worth doing. So we're going to run both of these cards in a lot of games. I'm going to test it at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. And to keep it grounded, we're just going to use our Ryzen 7600. No X3D chip, just standard Ryzen AM5 chip. Because if you've got these guys, would you have an expensive chip? Maybe not, right? Okay, let's start off with Arc Raiders 1080p, low settings in here. And look at that one, boys. We're gaining, wow, 45% better performance with our RTX 5060. Let's go to Cyberpunk 2077. We've got ultra settings in here at 1080p, and look at this, maybe a little bit of micro stutter there with our RX 6600 XT, and you are getting almost 70% uplift with that upgrade. How about Oblivion Remastered, a game which pushes the VRAM, and yes, look at that one. We've got a little bit of stutters on both guys in here, but we're getting better performance with our 5060, 34% better. One thing to note is that with this game, it is VRAM intensive. We do have upscalers in here, but you can see with our Nvidia card, we are only using much lesser VRAM. Let's go to our massive multiplayer shooters, and we've got Battlefield 6 in here. And once again, ooh, it's only about 30% lead on this game. And how about Delta Force on our running or on our walking benchmark? We're getting still about 30%, so not really pushing that 50%. How about on our firing benchmark? Oh, here we go, right? We're almost getting that 50% here, almost. Let's go to PUBG. This is a DX11 game, and we are using the DX11 Enhanced API on this game. Yep, it's a slower paced game, but you know, I'd like to test the DX11 performance in here, and this game actually pushes it, and we're only getting 30%. It'll be interesting to see how much this plays out when we go to 1440p. Okay, let's move on to our competitive shooters now, and we've got Fortnite in here, and on our benchmark, boom. Oh, we actually lost that on our average FPS with our 5060, although the lows are a little bit higher. We'll see if this one gets better when we go to 1440p as the cards are getting pushed, because at this stage we're only using a little bit of our RTX 5060. Let's go to another competitive shooter, and we've got Valorant in here, and the 5060 is leading by only about 20%, but you know, we're not pushing the cards in here by much because it's mostly competitive, right? You want to tone down those settings so you can see the enemies. Let's go to our hero shooters, and ooh, still about less than 30% with our Apex Legends in here, right? And even on our static benchmark, less than 30% still, right? Even on the lows. Okay, let's go with Marvel Rivals, and this is 1080p native, and 40%. So at least that's a little bit better in there. Let's go with Helldivers 2, and we're getting 31% better performance with our 5060. So not really pushing that 50%, hey, but we're getting really good FPS in here, right? That's 200 against about 140, even on our stratagem benchmark, right? Still about 38%, like around a 40% mark. Let's go with Path of Exile 2, and this game, like, we do have upscalers in here. It's a bit like complicated settings, so I'm just gonna put all those settings in Patreon. Link is here, and we're getting 85% performance. That's what I'm talking about, right? This game definitely tends to lean towards Nvidia though. And another game is World of Tanks. So we've got ultra SD settings in here at 1080p, and look at that one, boys. We're getting Wow, 46%. So really close to 50%. So there are a lot of there are some games in here which the 5060 just pushes it. Let's try 1440p and let's start off with arc raiders in here. 1440p, we got upscalers in here. Now we have better image quality with our 5060, obviously with DLSS compared to just standard FSR on our RX 6600 XT. And look at that one, right? Almost 40% performance uplift on our average FPS. How about Cyberpunk 2077? And we've got ultra settings in here, 1440p, still with upscalers, and boom, look at the lows, man. Huge lead on the lows because our 6600 XT is stuttering. Look at that really bad stutter. Okay, Oblivion remastered now, and oh, it's about 28%, right? 28%, but you get like better lows still. I mean, they're stuttering on both ends because yeah, it's 1440p. Okay, let's go back to our massive multiplayer shooters, and here we have Battlefield 6. Oh, the lead isn't actually that high. I was expecting more. It's only about 40%. And we've got, yes, we do have better image quality with the 5060, right? Okay, Delta Force now, and we have upscalers as well. And there we go, right? That's what I'm talking about. 52% lead on our walking benchmark. On our firing benchmark, we got about like 66%. Now, there's a little bit of a thing there with a 0.1% loss, but overall, the average FPS is about 66% better, so that's still a win. Okay, and PUBG, it's only about 27%. Average FPS gains, right? The lows are actually not much. Okay, let's move on to our competitive shooters again. We've got Fortnite 1440p, and you can see that the RX 6600 XT is now pushing its GPU usage alongside the 5060. It's not fully maxed out, but yes, we're getting like really high usage now, and here we go. The 5060 is now gaining on the performance. When we go to Valorant, the usage for both cards is slightly higher compared to 1080p, and once again, we've got like decent lead. I mean, the main thing in here is the lows in terms of like these games, right? So you're getting about like more than 30% lows with the 5060. On our hero shooters, we got Apex Legends in here, heavy action benchmark at 1440p. That's more than 30% gain. So not really hitting that 50% mark, but you know, still good enough. On our static benchmark, more or less the same, right? 30%, around the 30% range. Okay, let's go Marvel Rivals with upscalers in here, and wow, now this game really pushes it. So at least we're hitting the 50% mark in here. 5060s winning this one. Let's go to Helldivers 2, and let's get about 47% gains. And on our stratagem benchmark, it's quite the same, right? 48% gains with our 5060. I mean, it's still decent. We're getting about 100 FPS with our 6600 XT, but you are getting a much better experience with a 5060, obviously. Alright, Path of Exile 2, this is the same thing as 1080p. We do have upscalers in here, and now we have toned it up, right? It's quality settings, and even with quality settings, now I think it's only FSR 1 or FSR 2 and on AMD cards, whereas you get, you know, decent DLSS on our 5060, and we're getting about 80% uplift. And on World of Tanks Ultra SD at 1440p, you're getting 60% uplift in terms of performance. All right, finally, let's go to 4K. Now, I know this isn't realistic, but while we're doing the test here, might as well test 4K. So, we got Arc Raiders in here, 4K, low settings, because we want to see the rats, and we've set the settings of our upscalers only to performance because we want to keep it like realistic. Like, at least you get like decent FPS. So, you're getting 90 FPS against about 120 FPS, so that's about 28% lead in favor to the 5060. On Cyberpunk 27, that's really bad, right? For the RX 6600 XT, really bad performance. Like, look at those major stutters in there. Yes, we are 4K and it's unrealistic, but we've toned down the upscaler quality to performance. And yeah, how about PUBG? The X11 enhanced, and yes, you can see that the RTX 5060 is actually like playable in here. Like, it is a slower paced game, and with about like 120 FPS, you should be okay with the RTX 5060 if you want to play it at 4K, right? Okay, World of Tanks now at 4K. Now, this is a very bad experience for the RX 6600 XT. I mean, you probably wouldn't be playing it at this range. So let's try to keep it at 4K, but now with medium settings. And look at that one, right? We're getting about still a lot of status with our RX 6600 XT, even with lower settings, right? We got medium settings in here, and RTX 5060 is still leads in here. And before we go, let's have a look at power consumption or both of these guys. And they are roughly the same, right? About maybe only about 10 watts difference, because you've got like 145 watts with our RTX 5060, and you're getting about 135 watts maximum with our RX 6600 XT. So even for that one, there's a lot of gains with only 10 watts additional. When you look at it overall at 1080p, if you're upgrading your RX 6600 XT to an RTX 5060, in terms of average FPS, you will be getting about 37% uplift. Not 50%, but you know, that's still pretty decent, right? At least it's not less than 20%. In terms of 1% lows, you're getting 30% uplift, and on 0.1% lows, that's 44% uplift. Amazingly, the RX 6600 XT is slightly faster in Fortnite in terms of average FPS, like slightly. But apart from that, the 5060 is a huge push, especially in games like Cyberpunk and Path of Exile 2 is just pushing it really hard. In terms of 1440p, if you're gonna be upgrading to the RTX 5060, you will gain 43% in terms of average FPS, 40% in terms of 1% lows, and 51% in terms of 0.1% lows. Now it continues to widen that lead as you go higher on the resolution. There are massive gains on Cyberpunk and Delta Force and even Marvel Rivals, obviously Path of Exile 2 and World of Tanks, because you know it's a bit that game World of Tanks is a bit biased to Nvidia. In terms of 4K, you will be getting almost 50% uplift in terms of average FPS. In terms of 1% lows, that's 56% better, and in terms of 0.1% lows, it's only about 31% better. Yes, it's unrealistic to play at a 4K, but with the RTX 5060, if you want to play like 4K on like slower paced games, you can do that with the RTX 5060, although you'll have to turn down some settings. Let's talk about pricing, right? If you're going to be buying a new RTX 5060, is quite expensive now with price increases. It's about $370, right? Whereas if you sell your RX 6600 XT, I think you're gonna be getting about maybe like less than $200 for that. If you're gonna sell it as a used CAD, so you'll have to find maybe $170 more plus tax to upgrade to the RTX 5060. Is it worth it? Maybe. It depends on your situation, right? You will get that performance uplift. You will get that bump in lows and 0.1% lows, and even like the features with NVIDIA features like DLSS. That will be a really good addition. But the current price of the RTX 5060 is quite expensive. So you'll have to gauge that one. And for me personally, it depends on the game that you will be playing. In terms of budget cuts, we also tested recently our RX 6600 non-XT, and we tried to compare that against AMD's latest RX 9060 XT. So if you want to see that one, I'd suggest you click this one right here. Click that one, and I'll see you boys over there.